If a brand falls in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, does it really make a sound? According to a recent study, 77% of brands could disappear and consumers wouldn't even notice. In this week's episode of Marketing is Broken, we look at how brands are getting attention these days and highlight two tactics that are increasingly sure to backfire. Plus, special guest Sphoorti Bhandare joins us with her thoughts on how brands can gain attention the right way. Stay tuned for all that and more. Welcome to Marketing is Broken, the weekly series where we help marketers like you get both the curiosity and the attention of consumers.
Gentlemen, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Brand apathy is at an all-time high. According to the Havas Meaningful Brands 2019 report, more than 3 out of 4 brands could vanish overnight and no one would be the wiser. It shouldn't come as much of a surprise, I guess. In an age where it's getting harder and harder to make an impact, most brands are getting further away, not closer to standing out. Consider this. Number 1, when asked, consumers said that 58% of the content brands produced was meaningless. Number 2, brands have struggled to create their own attention and instead continue to invest more into influencer marketing to borrow attention from Instagrammers and other content creators instead of getting it themselves. And number 3, some people are even calling 2019 the year of woke washing due to the number of brands that are trying, more often than not unsuccessfully, to co-opt social causes in order to get the attention from the public. Renting attention from influencers and getting your brand stuck in the middle of the social media controversy of the day aren't necessarily the most forward-thinking ways to get attention and grow awareness for your brand. But if Khloe Kardashian and Colin Kaepernick aren't the easiest ways to get more people talking about your brand, then what is? We wanted to know what long-term risks can come from short-term attention-grabbing tactics, so we reached out to PR and content marketing consultant Sphoorti Bhandare to get her thoughts on how to get more people to notice and remember your brand the right way. So what are some of the risks involved with using influencers and social media causes and other short-term tactics to grow awareness for your brand?
Yeah, so let's start with influencer marketing and using influencers to grow brand awareness, right? So there are a couple of reasons that are very predominant when brands work with influencers. Some of them are that when you are working with an influencer, the influencer might not really understand the product, may have never heard of the product. So what really happens here is that there becomes this disconnect. So even though you are trying to get attention of that particular influencer's audience, you cannot keep repeating that. Another one that is very huge is that they might not actually follow your content guidelines. So
Sure.
that can actually come back and really be detrimental to your brand messaging if they are not really portraying your brand the right way. And another one really, which might not exactly be your fault, is that you can by no fault of your own, alienate your consumers actually. So moving on to the social causes, in case your brand is thinking about standing or taking a stand against some sort of cultural, social, or political movement or issue, there are predominantly 3 risks that I see that can actually hurt your brand awareness strategies and campaigns. So the first one is going off brand, right? Because a lot of brands, when they actually approach, joining the bandwagon, so to say, basically, they may not have the right brand history or brand messaging history to support that sort of positioning that you are doing right now or association that you are planning to promote. So it actually can come off as you're going off brand and consumers might be outraged, they might be confused, they really will not understand what's happening. Another one is that once you take a stand when it comes to something that's very personal to people or it affects their lives really, is you cannot walk away. And if you end up getting negative backlash, either you take a stand and stick with it or you have to retract it, right? So that's another thing that really can be detrimental to your brand messaging and awareness in general. Another thing, just going off of that, is that once you do take a stand, for example, you have to keep repeating that in all your brand collaterals, your messagings. You have to make sure that you're transparent and open and you're not really neglecting that particular association that you have been putting forward. And I think the last one, which is yes. And the last one would be very, very hard to actually, how do I say, make it again, like, to make it really come back to where it was in terms of the relationship with your customers, is misreading the customer values. So unless and until you do not know what your customers are passionate about when it comes to all these social and political causes, for example, what you're going to do is that if you end up putting something across, and whatever really goes online is your brand and your representation. So whatever goes across is going to be the value or the mission and the vision that you're promoting online.
So, I mean, that's really interesting. So, what's your favorite tactic for getting attention for brands the right way? Because it sounds like, from what you described, influencers and social causes, they're actually a lot more complicated, or can be trickier than what they seem. So, what's your favorite tactic for getting attention these days?
Yeah, sure. So my favorite tactic when it comes to, getting attention, if you are planning to take a stand, whether it's a value, whether it's a purpose, whether it's an issue that you want to take a stand with. And the right way really is, it's twofold. So first part of that tactic is aligning your values, and not only aligning your values with your consumers, but with your employees as well, because your employees are your companies. And if you are in your values as a brand are not on the same page as your employees, then it's not really going to help you in the long term. And that actually goes to the second part of the tactic, which is nurturing brand ambassadors out of these employees and loyal consumers once you align the values.
That sounds like a very pragmatic approach, but
Yeah.
maybe not as headline grabbing as being involved with the latest social cause. So, on that note, what brands should marketers be looking at today for examples that are brands that are really doing a good job with PR?
Yes. So when it comes to, associating yourself or really taking a stand with a social cause, or, even basic values like equal rights and gender pay gap, the ones that really affect everyone on a daily basis, there are brands who have been doing a wonderful job, but there have been some campaigns by the same brands who have not really resonated well. But I will give the names of the brands that I really genuinely like in terms of the campaigns that they put out and the message that they actually put out. So some of them are P&G. It's done amazing jobs with campaigns like We See Equal and Like a Girl. There is Dove, which has done Real Beauty campaign, which is amazing, and it's so in line with what they actually do. There's another one which is a huge. I'm a huge fan of it, called Patagonia.
Mm-hmm.
It's the outdoor clothes company, and they have been very active in environmental activism, and they're really passionate about even preserving the public monuments in the United States. So they are doing a very good job. Another few ones would be, surprisingly, Heineken is very good. Budweiser is very good. Even Carlsberg is very good. Sometimes they do not really take a stand in all of their campaigns, but they do a very, very good job of getting that particular message across. And I think the last one would be just, Lyft. So there was, if you can remember, there was a huge backlash for Uber when it had actually started charging search prices with the President Trump's, ban on Muslim countries coming into the United States. And at that time, Lyft did a very good example of really taking something that was happening negatively and turning it into something positive, and not really putting themselves as a very spammy or very aggressive brand in that particular situation.
Those are all fantastic examples. Sphoorti
Yes.
Bhandare, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Josh.
What's your favorite tactic to get attention for a brand these days? Do you get a lot of value from influencer marketing, or does something about it seem a little dirty? And is it never a good idea to align your brand with the social cause, or is it always a good idea? Share your thoughts in the comments, and you might just win yourself some new Brandish Insights gear. We'll see you next time. Hey, it's Josh from Brandish Insights. Thank you for watching Marketing is Broken. If you like this week's episode, please click below to subscribe or check out other episodes. And if your company could use more insights around your branding efforts, check out brandishinsights.com.